Do we have Mr. Robinson present?
Yes, Your Honor.
Calling the case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Counsel, could you enter your appearances, please?
This Charlie Kirk case just went from chaotic to straight up explosive. Things are unraveling fast, and now 50 Cent has jumped right into the fire. And what he's saying has the whole internet on edge. The man isn't just talking, he's dropping bombs. Word on the street says the accused shooter, Tyler Robinson, has secretly struck a plea deal with the feds for a lighter sentence. But that's just the surface. Insiders are whispering that 50 didn't just expose who fired the shot, he allegedly revealed who paid for it. That's right, this might not have been some random act, but a plan set up with money trails, ghost players, and global ties that go way deeper than anyone imagined. And brace yourself, because it only gets darker. Allegedly, Tyler wasn't even the main shooter, but he was just the cover-up, a decoy planted to take the fall while the real gunman disappeared into the crowd. Some sources claim the hit was pulled off so smoothly it had to involve people with serious training. Maybe even connections to foreign intelligence. Sounds like a spy movie, right? But insiders swear these leads are real. Now 50 Cent's out here hinting that Charlie's shooting might connect to a web of hidden operations the feds never wanted public. He's saying Tyler might have been a sacrifice, just a pawn in a much bigger, dirtier game meant to silence something powerful.
I just got a tip that busts the CK case wide open. Tyler Robinson has partial paralysis in his right leg. And that's how people identified him, not from the photographs.
And his family, who has since been interrogated, specifically stated to FBI interrogators that because of the video that the FBI released at my direction, and because of the photographs that they released, they identified their son.
Every day this story gets messier, and at this point, no one knows who's really calling the shots. So buckle up, because if 50 truly has the receipts everyone's whispering about, this could blow the lid off everything. Here's how this whole wild chain reaction began. The feds came out swinging, naming Tyler Robinson as the shooter and dropping a few grainy, low-quality CCTV clips they claimed showed him lurking near the Utah Valley University campus before the attack. But the internet wasn't buying it, not for a second. Digital detectives dove in headfirst, analyzing every frame like forensic experts, and what they found tore holes clean through the official version of events. First off, the bullet trajectory didn't match the rooftop spot where Tyler was supposedly hiding. That alone had people's jaws hitting the floor, and it didn't stop there. Oh no. Experts and online investigators pointed out something even more alarming. There was no exit wound on Charlie, which completely destroys the theory that a high-powered rifle was used. If the weapon was really that strong, the wound would have been catastrophic.
This means that his unusual gait, his limp, was not because there was a rifle down his pants, and those of us with eyeballs already knew this. But this confirms it. This also explains why we never saw a perp walk, why they used all these still photos, and why they only showed him limping.
But the evidence didn't match the story at all. Something about the gun, the shot, and the distance just wasn't adding up. Now that social media's ripped every hole possible into the FBI's narrative, the Bureau's been forced to scramble. Kash Patel, the FBI chief himself, suddenly popped up announcing they're expanding the investigation, saying they're even looking into what they once called wild conspiracy theories. Imagine that. Internet rumors now turning into official federal leads. Patel went on to post a long tweet saying, "We are meticulously investigating theories and questions, including the precise location of the shooter, the possibility of accomplices, the text message confession, Discord chats, the angle of the bullet impact, how the weapon was moved, and even hand gestures near Charlie at the moment of the attack." He also revealed they're reviewing everyone who visited the alleged shooter's home in the hours before September 10th, 2025. Sounds like the feds are backpedaling fast, because now nothing in their story feels airtight anymore. The FBI tried to calm everyone down with an official statement, but it did the opposite. It made people even more suspicious. They said, "Our primary focus is to complete this investigation and deliver justice."
Do we have Mr. Robinson present?
Yes, Your Honor.
Calling the case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Counsel, could you enter your appearances, please?
Chad Grunander, Jeff Gray, Lauren Hunt, Ryan McBride, and Chris Ballard for the state, Your Honor.
Good morning, counsels.
Good morning, Your Honor. Kathy Nestor, Michael Burt and Richard Novak on behalf of Mr. Robinson.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning to you all.
To protect the integrity of the investigation and the upcoming prosecution, we cannot release all the information to the public right now. We will ensure every question is addressed at the appropriate moment. The entire FBI mourns the loss of Charlie Kirk. We will not rest until justice is served, and our investigation into this assassination will continue until every question is answered. That statement was supposed to sound comforting, but instead it threw gasoline on the fire. People immediately started reading between the lines, and the online crowd wasn't impressed. To them, it sounded like the feds were avoiding transparency and trying to patch up their story instead of revealing the truth. And within minutes, social media exploded again. Fans flooded comment sections saying this was exactly what Candace Owens had been warning about for weeks, that Tyler Robinson might not have been the real shooter at all. And just when you thought things couldn't heat up more, boom, Candace came swinging harder than ever. She lit up every platform with a series of fiery posts that left the internet stunned. In one post, she dropped the line that made everyone freeze. Tyler Robinson is not suicidal. The entire narrative that was placed in the media about him being suicidal is completely fictional, as are many other aspects of what we've been told, but that was just the opening shot. Candace didn't hold back after that. She tore into the so-called confession story, calling it a flat-out lie. According to her, the claim that Tyler's father turned him in after some emotional confession was total fiction.
A mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole, or an indeterminate term of not less than 25 years that may be for life. Mr. Robinson, what I also want to do is you have the right to have the charges read that you stand charged of, and I wish to read those to you at this time.
She said Tyler Robinson maintains his innocence and has never even been to the UVU campus. There are absolutely zero photos or videos the campus can produce to prove otherwise, which is exactly why all they've shown is one blurry image. And Tyler's family knows that's not him. That post sent shockwaves across every platform imaginable. Fans, journalists, and influencers were left speechless, scrolling in disbelief. Because if Candace was telling the truth, this entire case just flipped upside down. Suddenly, what looked like a straightforward tragedy now feels like a staged operation. And the deeper it goes, the more sinister it seems. Now everyone's asking the same question. But if Tyler wasn't the shooter, who was? And more importantly, who's pulling the strings behind the curtain? Because whatever's happening here, it's bigger than anyone expected. And it's getting darker by the minute. After that fiery statement from the FBI, the whole internet went up in flames, and Candace Owens wasn't about to let those flames burn out quietly. Within hours, she hit go live, eyes blazing, voice sharp as glass, and made one thing clear. She wasn't backing down for anyone. If they think I'm going to stay quiet while they twist the truth, they picked the wrong woman, she snapped, and that line flipped the entire story on its head. From that moment, it wasn't just about Tyler Robinson anymore. It was Candace Owens versus the feds. She came swinging hard, calling out every piece of so-called evidence the FBI had pushed to the public. That blurry CCTV image they claimed showed Tyler creeping around campus. Candace said she'd talked to digital forensics experts who found the timestamp had been tampered with.
Mr. Robinson, for count 1, aggravated murder, a capital felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76, count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code or a first-degree felony, count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code 76-8-306.
That image wasn't even from the same day, she said. They copied metadata from another file to make it look real, and it doesn't even match the lighting from that hour. Her chat blew up instantly. Thousands of viewers started comparing screenshots, checking solar patterns, and even pulling weather data from the day of the attack. Within minutes, hashtags like #FakeEvidence and #JusticeForTyler were trending across every major platform. People were zooming into shadows, pointing out mismatched windows, and claiming the building behind the figure in that image didn't even exist when the shooting happened. The internet was in full investigation mode. Then came the shocker that nearly broke the web. Candace claimed she got her hands on a leaked FBI email, allegedly from someone inside the bureau, telling agents to align all media visuals with narrative protocol. Those words set the internet off like fireworks. People instantly said that sounded like a coded order to fabricate the story. Candace didn't release the email for legal reasons, but her followers didn't care. They believed it on sight. They said it explained everything. By the next morning, the storm had gotten even wilder. 50 Cent, who had already dropped hints that this case was bigger than anyone thought, reposted a clip from Candace's live on his Instagram, writing, "This story getting weird. Somebody lying." That one sentence cracked the floodgates wide open. Millions watched it in hours, and fans started linking the people 50 mentioned earlier with the same names Candace had been hinting at for weeks. The puzzle pieces were starting to look way too connected. Internet detectives were on overdrive, cross-checking timestamps from Candace's posts, the FBI's official release, and leaked plea deal details. And what they found made everyone's head spin. According to one viral breakdown, the FBI's timeline showed Tyler being in 2 different places at the same time. On the Utah Valley campus and at a gas station 3 towns away, where his debit card had been used minutes before the alleged shooting. Candace jumped on that immediately. She went live again, holding up what she claimed were verified bank statements showing that transaction in real time. How was he buying snacks when he was supposedly climbing a roof with a rifle? She said, her tone dripping with disbelief. The comment section exploded. Viewers screamed, "They got caught, and this whole setup is real," as the clip spread like wildfire. From there, the drama hit a whole new level. Candace accused the FBI of purposely hiding key body cam footage from campus security, the same footage her sources claimed didn't show Tyler anywhere near the scene. There's a 2-minute gap that's been conveniently redacted, she revealed, and you know what's usually hidden in those gaps? The truth. That single quote went viral in minutes. Everyone, journalists, influencers, even mainstream anchors, started asking why the Bureau was suddenly clamping down on info instead of clearing the air. Meanwhile, so-called inside sources started popping up everywhere, claiming the FBI was in panic mode. Alleged screenshots of internal memos circulated online, warning agents not to engage with public misinformation narratives. But to the internet, that sounded less like a warning and more like a confirmation that Candace had been right all along. People began saying this wasn't an investigation anymore. It was a full-blown cover-up. And just when you thought Candace had dropped her last bomb, she unleashed proof number 2. She posted 2 side-by-side rifle photos, one from the FBI's official evidence files, and another from what she said was a leaked law enforcement training database. They were a perfect match. Same serial number, same markings, same everything. She claimed this proved that the weapon linked to Charlie's shooting was already in federal hands before the incident even happened. The crowd went absolutely wild. Commenters said this was the smoking gun moment that exposed everything. If that rifle really was in federal possession before the tragedy, then someone high up had some serious explaining to do, because that would mean the entire narrative might have been staged from the start. By this point, nothing about the case felt real anymore, and the deeper Candace went, the more people started to believe her side of the story. Even skeptics couldn't deny how perfectly all the puzzle pieces were falling into place. Something about this case was off, and everyone could feel it. Tell me how a gun sitting in your evidence room ends up being used in an active case months later. Candace fired off during a live stream that pulled in more than 800,000 viewers. Unless someone planted it, or worse, unless this whole thing was staged, her voice shook with fury, and that line sent the internet into absolute chaos. People who had been rolling their eyes at her just days earlier suddenly started paying attention. Even major news outlets had no choice but to jump in. If not to agree, then at least to fact check. But every single time they tried to shut her down, the online community fired back with fresh receipts, inconsistent witness statements, missing documents, redacted reports. It was endless. The harder the FBI tried to tighten their grip, the more their story slipped through their fingers. Then came a curveball no one expected. A retired FBI analyst went on a podcast and said he'd never seen this level of classified restriction in a domestic investigation, calling it highly unusual. That clip spread like wildfire. Candace reposted it with the caption, "Even insiders are waking up," and her supporters went wild. Her momentum was unstoppable. It was like watching a digital revolution unfold in real time. By now, the whole thing had turned into a war zone online, a battle of truth versus authority. Candace's followers and 50 Cent's fans united under a new hashtag, #TheTruthDrop. They called it a movement to force the government to come clean about what really happened. Others warned that Candace was poking the bear and might be risking her safety. Then came the eerie reports. Some fans claimed her posts were vanishing from their feeds, that she was getting shadow banned, silenced in real time. But Candace didn't blink. In one fiery live session, she revealed she was in touch with 2 whistleblowers ready to speak out, people who allegedly worked inside the investigation and could confirm that critical files were deleted before the public ever saw them. "If anything happens to me," she declared, "those files are backed up in 3 places around the world. It's too late to bury this now. Her words sent chills through the audience. The live chat blew up with messages like, "Stay safe," and "We got your back." Viewers began screen recording every second of her live streams, terrified that her videos might vanish just like her earlier posts. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was adding fuel to the fire every step of the way. He tweeted, "They can't stop what's already out there," followed by a cryptic photo of a chessboard with the caption, "Your move." Fans went wild decoding it. Everyone thought he was signaling that the next big reveal was about to drop. By the end of that same week, the noise had gotten too loud for mainstream media to ignore. CNN, Fox, and even BBC ran special reports asking if the FBI had mishandled key evidence. Lawmakers were suddenly calling for a formal review, citing a growing public distrust. The pressure was on, and the Bureau's silence only made it worse. But for Candace, this was never about politics anymore. This was about truth. During her final live stream that weekend, she looked dead into the camera and said, "They tried to silence me, but all they did was prove I was right. The cover-up is bigger than the crime, and the people deserve to know who's really pulling the strings." The comment section erupted. Thousands of hearts, fire emojis, and "Protect Candace" messages poured in nonstop. Her tone was steady, but her eyes said it all. She wasn't backing down, and this battle was far from over. Because if her hints were true, the biggest bombshell hadn't even dropped yet, and what was coming next could shake everything to its core. Then came the moment that sent the internet spiraling again. Candace went live one more time, setting the record straight once and for all. "Tyler has never once expressed a suicidal thought. I want to make that absolutely clear," she said. "The federal government is lying about everything. Everything except for one thing. Yes, that was his gun." That single admission flipped the internet upside down. She basically confirmed that the weapon was registered to Tyler. But here's where things got wild. She insisted he wasn't the shooter at all. Candace explained that the whole thing was a setup, that Tyler had been paid off or manipulated to act as a distraction while the real shooter pulled the trigger and vanished without a trace. Her followers were stunned. The theory was shocking, but it lined up a little too perfectly. She pointed out how the timing, the angles, and even the crowd movement looked rehearsed, like someone had staged the scene down to the second. Even witnesses later admitted the moment felt too fast, like nobody could process what was happening before it was over. And then came another jaw-dropper. Right after Charlie Kirk was hit, police reportedly detained another man at the scene who confessed on the spot that he was the shooter. It was total confusion. Candace said that was no coincidence. She believed both men were planted as scapegoats, creating chaos, while the real culprit slipped out clean. The official charges made the whole thing even murkier. Tyler was hit with aggravated murder, unlawful discharge of a firearm, and violent offense in the presence of a child. Charges that instantly raised eyebrows. Then came two more, obstruction of justice and witness tampering. Insiders say those came from allegations that Tyler told his roommate to delete text messages and stay quiet if police came asking questions. But to Candace and her growing army of believers, it all looked like smoke and mirrors. The kind of mess you make when you're trying to hide something way bigger. Because every time she peeled back a layer, the story underneath got darker, stranger, and way too calculated to be coincidence. Something wasn't adding up, and the world knew it. But Candace wasn't buying that story for even a second. She fired back hard, saying those so-called texts were twisted beyond recognition, and that Tyler's so-called confession was chopped up, edited, and fed to the media to fit a narrative that never existed. They twisted his words to fit their story, she said, her voice blazing with conviction. And from the reactions flooding in online, it was clear a lot of people were starting to believe she just might be right. That's when things spiraled completely out of control, because now the courtroom drama blew open like a movie scene. According to legal insiders, Tyler Robinson's defense team filed a motion asking the court for more time to go through an avalanche of evidence, files, recordings, transcripts, that the prosecution dumped on them at the last minute. That move alone told the world one thing loud and clear. This case was way bigger than anyone thought. On the other side, prosecutors were allegedly going full throttle, building a digital web of every breadcrumb they could find. Text messages, DNA samples, phone location data, even chat logs from Discord and encrypted apps that they were trying to link every byte back to Tyler to prove he was somehow involved in the shooting. But then boom, came the twist no one saw coming. According to sources deep inside the circle, Tyler had already made a quiet deal with prosecutors, a supposed plea bargain for a lighter sentence. And what he allegedly told them during those talks? Absolutely wild. These same sources claim Tyler admitted he'd been hired as a decoy, brought in to create chaos while the real shooter made their escape. He reportedly told investigators that he showed up on campus with his own legally registered gun, but never fired a single shot. He said his role was to draw attention, not to harm anyone. But here's where it gets even crazier. Allegedly, Tyler didn't stop there. He went on to name the real shooter, explain how they met, and even drop the name of the person who connected them. If even part of that's true, it could flip the entire investigation upside down. Online, people started buzzing that Tyler's confession wasn't him admitting guilt. It was him trying to survive. Some believe he realized he was being set up to take the fall and decided to expose everything before it was too late. Then, just when everyone thought this circus couldn't get any wilder, 50 Cent's name got dragged straight back into the chaos. Remember, he had already been making noise about the case before. But once Tyler's alleged confession leaked, an old post of his resurfaced and set the internet ablaze. The post showed 50 writing, "Want to know how I feel about this? I don't know, but I do know it's a good time to shut up." That one cryptic line blew up in seconds. Fans took it as him mocking the whole situation, and the backlash came hard and fast. Comment sections turned into a battlefield, some calling him out for being insensitive, others defending him saying he was just being sarcastic. Within hours, 50 deleted the post, but it was too late. Screenshots had already gone viral, and the debate was raging across every platform. The irony of it all? That deleted post actually reignited the whole case online. People started connecting dots again, saying maybe 50 knew something he couldn't say publicly. Others speculated that he realized the story was heading somewhere dangerous and that his "good time to shut up" comment was a warning, a way to quietly back out before things got ugly. But it didn't end there, not even close. Tyler's supposed plea deal became the hottest topic on social media, with theories flying from every corner. Was he protecting someone powerful? Was he offered immunity? Or was the entire deal just another illusion to keep the public distracted while the real players stayed hidden? Nobody could tell for sure, but everyone agreed on one thing. The mystery behind who actually shot Charlie Kirk had gotten a whole lot deeper. And then came the shockwave that had everyone talking again. 50 Cent jumped back in with his own take, and this time his words sent the internet spinning out of control. According to inside sources close to him, 50 believes Charlie's shooting was never random. He's convinced it ties into a much bigger web of power, influence, and politics, something that's been playing out quietly behind the scenes. He's even hinted that there's serious money involved and that the dots between these events all trace back to the same circle of people pulling strings in the dark. Fans went crazy dissecting his statements. Some said he was subtly confirming what Candace had been claiming all along, that there's a full-blown operation happening right under everyone's nose. Others believe 50 might be protecting someone, or worse, sending a warning to back off before the truth fully breaks loose. Whatever the case, the tension online was through the roof. The theories, the leaks, the deleted posts, it all pointed to one haunting possibility. This wasn't about one shooting anymore. It was about something much bigger. And from the look of it, the truth was just starting to crawl out into the light. Here's what people are saying, and it's wild. Reportedly, 50 Cent believes Charlie Kirk's shooting might be directly connected to that mysterious $50 million donation offer from a global tech powerhouse with deep political strings attached. Word is, Charlie turned the deal down cold because it came with one major catch. He'd have to start pushing a pro-Israel narrative through his entire organization. That was the breaking point. And get this, the company behind that massive offer is allegedly tied to Tennessee and Yahoo, who, according to insiders, have been quietly working with select American influencers to shape online opinions from the shadows. Now, 50 didn't come right out and name names. He played it smart, but he made one thing crystal clear: Tyler Robinson might just be collateral damage in a much bigger, dirtier game. In his words, the feds are desperate to shut this case down fast, even if it means turning Tyler into the fall guy for something he didn't actually do. And the second 50 said that social media went absolutely crazy. Fans flooded his comment section instantly, reposts, theories, and quotes everywhere. One user wrote, "50's all about doing the right thing, period." Another added, "They hated on him before. He took 9 bullets for a reason. He's built for truth." Someone else chimed in, "Pick a side, God or the devil." 50 knows what time it is. The comment threads were blowing up non-stop, full of people praising him for staying bold and refusing to fold under pressure. One fan even said, "Let the fools fight and the smart ones will be standing when it's over." But of course, not everyone was cheering. Some critics were warning that 50 was walking a dangerous line, saying he might be putting himself right in the crosshairs by even talking about powerful tech giants and political players like that. Still, 50 didn't flinch. He didn't backtrack, didn't clarify, just went quiet. And that silence, it spoke louder than any post ever could. To many fans, it looked like he had already said enough to set off alarms and then pulled back before the heat came down. Meanwhile, the internet kept piecing together every clue, screenshot, and slip up from both Candace and 50's camps. People were convinced the puzzle was finally taking shape, that Tyler Robinson wasn't just some random suspect, but a pawn caught in a storm that reached way above his head. The timing, the money trail, the media spin, it all looked too perfectly choreographed. Now, the question everybody's shouting online is, does Tyler even deserve to face trial when the evidence against him feels so shaky? The alleged DNA traces, the text messages, the so-called confession, every piece has been picked apart and debated to death. Even legal analysts are split down the middle. Some say it's all circumstantial, smoke and mirrors with no fire, while others argue there's just enough for the jury to take it seriously. But with all these inconsistencies piling higher every day, people are starting to wonder if anyone actually knows the truth anymore. The deeper you look, the murkier it gets. Did the FBI rush this case to protect their image? Did someone high up push for a quick conviction to hide the real players? Or is Tyler actually guilty and playing everyone like a pro? Nobody can agree, and that confusion has become the new fuel for this entire digital war. So now it's your turn to weigh in. Should Tyler still face trial even though there's no solid proof that he pulled the trigger? Or do the digital traces and DNA samples make you think he's guilty after all? Drop your thoughts down below. I want to hear which side you're on. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because the next video, it goes even deeper into what 50 Cent and Candace Owens are getting ready to expose next. You don't want to miss it!